Hey friend, it's Avi from JustWriteMusic.com. Welcome to another video helping you find that prolific music creator inside of you and helping you stay sane as an artist. If you're just starting out on your journey as a freelance musician, especially right now, I feel for you. Truly, I feel for you. I wish there was someone out there that would have helped me with all this in plain terms. Today, I want to be that person for you. I'm going to share with you 5 mistakes that I made as a freelance musician in the hopes that you will avoid making those mistakes. Before we dive in, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button below. It helps the channel so much, and I would greatly appreciate it because I want to, keep doing this thing. It is so hard to navigate the early years of being a freelancer. Not just because you're essentially a new startup business trying to make a living, but also more often than not because you're a new startup adult. See what I did there? Now, that being said, many of these mistakes tend to happen during the transition from being a student to being an adult or being in the job market for the first time. And even if you've been a salaried employee for a long time, if you're just getting started with freelancing, these mistakes are basic ones that anybody new to the industry can make. Because this is Just Write Music, I've tailored this to my own experiences as a freelance writer and musician. So my first big mistake that I made, and this was such a huge one for me, I was not treating music like work. I can't tell you how big this was for me, and I think this is a huge struggle for a lot of people. Usually we write music or practice our instrument for fun, for the sake of our passion, not for a deadline. But deadlines are how the real world works and how professional projects work. Going to music school can help you a lot in this transition. This is because during, taking classes, you're regularly being given assignments and deadlines that are related to writing or performing music. Unfortunately, this is also what keeps a lot of people from pursuing music school in the first place, aside from cost. I see a lot of artists who just don't want to play or write when they're not inspired. And to them I say, that's fine, totally cool, but don't expect to be a professional, make a living, and keep that going at the same time. In fact, if you're not working toward a performance or some type of deadline, you may find it really tough to actually sit down and do work. The fact is, the faster you start treating your music and your craft as a job, the faster it will actually become one. Jobs usually require some form of structure and consistency. There's really no escape from this. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I am the worst offender here. I've missed out on countless, innumerable opportunities for performances and for writing for projects just because of procrastination, mental illness, and just not feeling inspired. I've been there. I've done that. Whether I wasn't feeling like writing, wasn't just feeling like trolling Reddit or other internet groups looking for work. And what seriously aided that inaction was my second big mistake, not having a long-term plan. A long-term plan is key to staying focused and on task. You need to ask yourself, what do you want to be doing in 20 years? It's all too easy to just do a bunch of things and see what sticks. But throwing spaghetti at the wall is both messy and unproductive. And I'm not saying that you have to have some type of singular goal, but something like,
I want to work in film music.
Or,
I want to be an accomplished producer.
Will help you focus on what actions you need to take in order to get there down the line. A really weird and important aspect of this is knowing when to say no to certain opportunities, even if they're seemingly related to your long-term goal if you have one. I learned this the hard way because I didn't have a long-term goal that I was working towards. Not really. All I knew was,
I want to make music.
Well, there's a lot of different capacities in which you could do that. I meandered through much of my early years right after graduation exactly because of this obfuscation in my goals. The result was a serious lack of growth in my career. Now, just because you may not have a specific long-term plan doesn't mean you can't still work on yourself and work on yourself as a business. If you know this industry you want to be in, you probably already do because you're watching a video about mistakes I made being a freelance musician. No matter what you end up doing, no matter what actual service that you provide or field within the music industry that you're working in, having competent business and professional skills is 100% a must. And it's really easy to do the wrong things or make needless mistakes, if you also make my third mistake, which is not having a career role model. I can't stress how helpful and important this is. Even just making a connection with someone who's adjacent to what you want to do can be super helpful. Career role models help to keep you grounded and to give you a possible roadmap of what your career could look like. The best career role models, in my opinion, tend to be teachers. Not necessarily teachers at a university, but private teachers particularly. Much of the time, these people are already doing what you want to do, and this makes them an invaluable resource. Other career role models can include friends who are maybe just a step ahead of you, or even just a well-known artist that you look up to and can show you what's possible with some hard work and consistency. The worst thing you can do is to have no one. And I know because I lived that. There was a time in my life where I was utterly alone in a musical sense. I was doing almost everything in a vacuum, from writing to working on my career, and I lost out on desperately needed guidance. Some of this was honestly just due to sheer stubbornness, of wanting to
do it on my own
and
pull myself up by my bootstraps.
In reality, it was just my ego trying to protect myself from all my insecurities. So it kept me buried in all these reasons why I shouldn't ask for help. If you're looking for a role model, you're in luck because there's literally never been a better time to find one. There's so many amazing and talented artists doing some really cool and unique things on YouTube. If you're looking for some role models that you can just kind of check out passively and show you what can be done and how you can make a living with your craft, check out Adam Neely, Mary Spender, the Samurai Guitarist, Paul Davids, Rob Scallon, Sarah Longfield, Jared Dines, Stevie T. I could go on. These people are at the forefront as musicians, showing us what we can do, showing us what's possible today. So stand on their shoulders and make it happen for yourself. Even if you're having luck finding gigs, whatever gigs there even are out there these days, chances are you're still probably struggling to make a living, which probably means you have a part-time or even a full-time job to help finance your passion. Totally cool. For me, I couldn't get out of my own way to see my career and my income start to grow. But part of that was also because I was making another really common basic mistake that is almost a rite of passage, but it doesn't have to be. It's completely optional, and that is not asking for my real value. This is one of the biggest impediments to actually starting to make some good money with your music and with your craft, and the ironic thing is that you're in total control over it. As artists, we're told and conditioned that passion and inspiration are everything, that making or performing music for anything less or anything more, well, that means you're selling out. First, this is a newish concept. Historically. Second, this creates additional anxiety when it comes to talking about money or trying to sell our services. If you want to make a living with music, this is just something you have to get over. It's a matter of fact. There are some instances where you should do a gig or a project for free. Like if you're just starting out and you're trying to build your portfolio, or you're doing a gig where there's a chance for really high-level marketing and advancement that will pay off in the future. Outside of these very specific examples, never, ever, ever do anything just for
exposure.
In my case, I wasn't charging enough for my composition rates or my teaching rates. There's only so much time in the day, and most of us are usually juggling multiple gigs. So it's paramount to make sure that you're being paid your value. But how do you find out? Talk to your colleagues or do some research online and see what your peers are charging. More often than not, we value ourselves far lower than we actually should. And for me personally, I wouldn't let myself believe that I was qualified enough to actually get paid what some of my peers and colleagues were charging, even if in some cases they weren't as qualified or as experienced I was. That's called imposter syndrome. Not a good time. When I finally started to stand up for my value, not only did I make more money and start actually being able to live off of my music and off of my craft, but I also got more and higher quality work and higher quality clients. A higher rate increases the perceived value to a potential customer or a potential client. More potential value equals a little bit more serious consideration and seriousness coming from that client because they're paying more for the service. There's a lot to go over here, which is why I'm in 100% support of you looking at yourself as a business, developing your business skills, or as my career mentor once said, putting on your business hat. And one of the most important parts about being a business is having your cash flow and your finances in order. So don't make my fifth mistake, which was waiting to build healthy financial habits. Life as a freelancer, by definition, is financially volatile. At a traditional job, you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, no matter what. It's stable, it's consistent, and you know when your next check is coming. Not so as a freelancer. As a freelancer, you get paid when you get gigs. And there's a very real shot that when you do complete a gig, you're still gonna have to wait to get paid, sometimes weeks, sometimes a month or more. Now, in order to offset that volatility, having robust savings habits is crucial. Knowing you have some money to fall back on gives you a ton of peace of mind when there's dry spells. And believe me, there's going to be dry spells when you don't have work. Most checking accounts these days also come with a savings account. And if you don't already have one, check out one of those online high yield savings accounts. Those are great because it just kind of takes it away to a different place and you can forget about it and just let the interest build up just in case you're short 1 month. Now, to keep this going and build up a really great and robust savings, you want to create an automated transfer where you transfer at least 5% of your monthly income into this savings account. Most people say 10%, and 10% is totally recommended. Do 10% if you can, but these days finances are really tight, especially for musicians. If you can only do 5%, do 5%. If you can only do 1%, do 1%, but do it. Once it's there, just pretend it doesn't exist, because the ultimate goal is to have at least 1 month's expenses saved as an emergency fund. Your income may not be consistent, but rent sure as hell still is. A great beginner savings goal is to have just 1 month of expenses saved up. This way, if you got stiffed for a gig, it happens, or you got sick and couldn't work, had to cancel, you don't have to go into crisis mode. In fact, taking these precautions gives you that peace of mind, which helps you put more energy towards advancing your craft and advancing your career, rather than being in crisis mode and figuring out how to pay rent every single month. Now, it's even better to start thinking even further ahead. If possible, way further. If you're over 25, you have to start thinking about investing and retirement. This takes time to understand and to make solid moves here, so go slow. Or pay a professional to help you go through it and help you come up with a plan. If you're a freelancer, which means you're self-employed, that means no one is contributing to your retirement other than you. Start small and start ASAP. We're talking about playing a really long game here. Even contributing a tiny amount consistently can lead to some serious big gains over the decades. Gains your future self will thank you profusely for. You can also deduct these contributions to a retirement account at tax time. And if you have a Roth IRA instead of a regular IRA, you can still get a saver's credit on a percentage of your deductions depending on your income. This can just be one more thing working in your favor during tax time so that you can decrease the amount you're paying in taxes, because as self-employed individuals, we have to pay more tax than most people have to that only have a W-2. It's called the self-employment tax. Fun, right? Like the title in this video says, I made all these mistakes myself, and I'm okay. Oftentimes, the way we grow and learn is by making these mistakes, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to. Have you made any of the mistakes that I confessed to in this video? If so, annihilate that like button and let me know down in the comments. Also subscribe, because it would be cool to see you around more often. If you want, no pressure. You can say no. I'll take the no. If you're looking for some helpful tools to step up your melody game, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. Stop agonizing over your melodies and get these 7 tools for free that you can use on any melody in any genre. Head to justwritemusic.com. There is a link down in the description. That's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi from justwritemusic.com, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.